Before I get started doing any of the demos, I would like to go over the palette that I use when I'm painting in watercolor. I do something different than a lot of other watercolorists do in that I use some Holbein colors that have a little white in them. And they are Gray of Grays, Jaune Brilliant, Compost Green, Vert de Terre Blue, and then I have these two other colors that I use occasionally is Lilac and Lavender. And so I don't keep the Lilac and Lavender on my palette. I will squeeze some out whenever I need it. But these colors are right here on my palette. Here's Gray of Grays, Jaune Brilliant, Compost Green, and Vert de Terre Blue. Let me show you a little what they look like when I paint them out on some paper here. Let's go with the Gray of Grays. Okay, so here's Gray of Grays. And as you can see, it has a nice creamy look to it. Now it thins out. It thins out. If I add more water, you can see that it will thin out and be transparent, but it has a sort of a pearlescent look to it. Let's try that with the Jaune Brilliant. Here's the Jaune Brilliant. It's a nice peach color that I use for the landscapes in the Southwest, or when I'm painting adobe, I'll use this as my base color. Let's add some water and see what happens with this one. So we thin it out, a little more water, thin it out, thin it out, thin it out. You can see it eventually gets transparent from this sort of heavy color. You generally don't use it full strength because it then starts to look like wash. All right, so let's now try the Compost Green. Okay, so the Compost Green, it's kind of like a minty green, but it can be mixed with a lot of other colors. So here it is, pretty much full strength. Okay, so let's take a little water and let's start blending that out. Put a little more water, blend it until it just kind of disappears over here. So we have, you know, at full strength, more water. You can see through it, has a translucency to it, and then it gets pretty transparent over here when you really use it thin. All right, and then the fourth color, let's go with the Vert de Terre Blue. You get a good bit of that color on here. Okay, so let's take the water and wash it out. And then put more water and more until it disappears. So these are the four colors that I will be using, and as I use them in my demos, I'll explain that I'm using them and why I'm using them or how I'm using them. Let's take the lilac and put that out there too. I love these two colors. And you think, well, you just paint flowers with that, but no. No, it makes some nice sage colors. So here's the lilac. You can see it's pretty heavy. Okay, let's add some water. Let's add a little more water. All right, some more till we disappear. So there's the lilac, and then let's do the lavender. Sort of a blue, blue violet-y color. It kind of almost reminds you of the Vert de Terre, but you can see it's there's more violet in it. Okay, so here we'll put that on there, pretty full strength. Okay, then we'll put more water, thin it out, put a little more paint in there. Okay, and then more water until we disappear. So those are the colors that are a little different on my palette than that you will generally see on other artists' palette. But I love these colors. I've gotten so used to them that I can't live without them, and I will show you why as we paint throughout this week. Okay, so now that I showed you those colors, let me talk about these other colors that I have on my palette. And they're mostly the normal transparent colors that you see on just about everybody else's palette. I have a lot of them, but then, I use them all. This is Permanent Yellow Light. And I do use Permanent Yellow Lemon at times, but then again, I will put a little out and use it. I don't use it a lot. Okay, so this is Cadmium Orange. And you could use Permanent Orange Light. Yellow Orange. Permanent Yellow Orange Light. You can use in place of this, a lot cheaper. But I do like my Cadmium Orange. Okay, so this is Green Gold. This is Olive Green. I know you can make olive green, but I've used it for years. It's very convenient. I throw other colors in with it as I'm painting along, so it's very nice to have right there. I have Viridian. Then we have our 4 colors here from Holbein. And then this is sort of just a mixture. I had some Scarlet Lake and a little red orange, and I just kind of threw them together in here to get this really warm red. It's just something I did, so don't worry about it. This is Permanent Red. This is Permanent Rose. This is Turquoise Blue. This is Cobalt. And one of my very favorite dark colors, and it's the only violet I use, is Dioxazine Violet. You see it's in a bigger tray here because I do use it a lot to make my darks. And then this is Ultramarine Blue. And then we have Yellow Ochre, Burnt Sienna, Terra Rosa, and Transparent Oxide Red. This Terra Rosa and Transparent Oxide Red I learned to use in oil, and I really love those colors in painting my oils. So I realized that they made them in, some brands make them in watercolor. So I put them on my watercolor palette. I use these more than I use Burnt Sienna. Burnt Sienna has more yellow in it. Transparent Oxide Red it's redder. It has more red in it. And so those are the colors on my palette. And those are the colors you're going to see me use this week. And so I hope that some of you have added these Holbein colors to your palette, at least a couple of them. You don't have to have them all. And then we can have some fun with them as we're painting out. So that's my palette. I will then take these colors and do my first demo.